Hey everyone, welcome to the March 21st Scituate Conservation meeting. And we've got to read these two blurbs, so here we go. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. We have our second statement here on diversity, equity, inclusion from the town of Scituate. The Scituate Select Board is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. Awesome. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda?
No, although I did want to note that the agenda was revised this morning to add some continuances, and also that Frank's on the meeting now too, Jen. So
awesome. Frank, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I'm happy to sit back.
No, you're the star.
Yeah. How's Jake doing?
He is a little bit more lucid. He does not remember the request from this morning.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little feedback here. Testing. Does that seem better? Yeah. Okay. Did you ask if there was any amendments to the agenda, Jen?
Yes, I did.
And
none.
No, nothing.
Great. Okay. Is that second reading, the diversity one? Do we need to read that at every meeting, Amy or Jen?
yes.
Okay.
And Jen did it.
What's
Jen
that?
already did it.
And Jen
You
did
know,
it.
I know she did it. I just didn't know if that was a one-time or two-time thing, or we're gonna, that's a regular opening.
Opening statements. All right,
Well, I guess we all need reminders.
yes, so we'll accept the agenda as written.
If you'd like to do that,
Yeah, I would.
that was a motion. We have a second.
Sure.
Second.
Second by Jen, all in favor. Doug, is he in?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
And I
great. Good evening. Doug is on. Richard,
Yes.
Andy? No, and Brendan?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great, thank you. So we have first off, 443.
Continuances. Should we
Um,
continue them quickly?
Wait a minute. This one I need to open, Penny, and then we'll continue. At least.
Okay, oh, yeah,
On March 21st, 2022 at 5:30 PM Town Hall meeting, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Mass General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of the Town of Scituate for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, an ANRAD, on properties located at 543, 545, 443, 445, 447, 449, 451, 455, 457, 459, and 461 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website. So from now on, without all those members, maybe we can just refer to them as 543 through, 443 through 461.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's nobody to speak to this tonight. They just want to continue it. And they want to
Correct. There's
continue.
a request to continue to April 4th.
Okay, you want to make that motion?
Yep. I'll make a motion to continue 443 through 461 Chief Justice Cushing Highway till April 4th.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Doug, all in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great, thank you.
Okay.
Um,
I'll make a motion to continue 7 Driftway to April 19th.
Second.
From Richard, all in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay.
Okay, moving on. I make a motion, we continue 39 Arrowwood to April 19th.
Take a second. Do we have any reason for that being continued again, Amy?
No new information.
Okay. So I had a motion by Penny and a second by anybody yet? Did I get a second?
I'll second it. I thought so.
Okay,
I
that
thought I
was
heard
Deb.
somebody, but
So all in favor, Richard,
yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes.
Okay, one more. I make a motion, we continue 7 Dunbar to May 2nd.
Before we continue that one, have we heard anything back from them on setting up a time, Amy?
No. Nope,
Okay.
not yet.
All right. I'm sorry, that was a Penny for a motion, and do we have a second?
I'll second that.
It was Brendan,
Brendan.
thanks, Brendan. All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Doug,
Sure.
Jen,
Yes.
and Frank, yes.
I thought, did we have a plan if there were no updates or this did get pushed out as it has continued to get pushed out?
We met out on site and we
Yeah.
met with the owner, his engineer,
No.
Amy, Penny,
Yeah.
Art Allen, and myself, and they agree that things have to be done there. And we talked
Okay.
about how they'd come about doing that. And what they really need to do, Jen, is get their environmental engineer, Brad Holmes, and Art Allen to agree on a time and meet there with probably a piece of equipment and actually do some soil evaluation to see if they can determine where the former wetlands line was, or at least come
Got
up with
it.
one. So, and then once they determine that, then they're gonna come up with a remediation plan and whatnot. But I thought it was a pretty effective meeting.
Great.
I think Penny,
Yeah,
Amy. So
I
that's
was
the,
happy with the meeting.
where, I think that was one step forward. We'll see.
Awesome.
So now we're on to 154 Humrock Beach. And is that new?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
should be read.
I got it. On March 21st, 2022, at 5:30 PM, the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Mass General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Robert Murphy for work related to a septic work for a single-family dwelling location at 154 Humrock Beach Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information access to virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And who do we have for this?
Morse.
Greg Morse. I'm gonna
Okay.
unmute him.
Good
Greg, you-
evening.
Good evening.
For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owner, Robert Murphy. This is a notice of intent associated with a septic system upgrade project at 154 Humrock Beach Road. The existing property is developed with a 3-bedroom beach cottage. It has recently failed Title V inspection. It has a cesspool that backs up regularly. Our proposal is to install a new Title V compliance system in its place. Looking at the resource areas we have out here, being on Humrock, it's obviously a barrier beach. It's located on a coastal dune, and it's located in a velocity zone at elevation 15. For reference, the site exists with topography ranging from 11 to 14 feet in elevation. The septic system is going on the front yard side of the project, which is at the bottom of the lot that you see here on the plan. It's a 1,500-gallon septic tank, a distribution box, and 3 leaching chambers, or sorry, 3 leaching trenches. That location is currently the location of the driveway at the site. It is a paved driveway. What we would propose to do is to cut back the pavement that's required for the installation of the system and then replace the pavement back in its place. There are no changes to the grades or elevations on the site as a result of this installation. DEP had no comments, and this has been approved by the Board of Health.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, so agree with Greg. This does have Board of Health approval and clearly needs to be done. It's just for the septic system only, but I would say that it's good to go. I don't have much to say, except maybe close and issue to speed things along.
Okay. Richard, do you want to field this one first?
I'm happy to, but I have no questions. It needs to be done, and they're right. They have constant issues there.
Okay. Penny?
Nope, I'm all set. Looks good.
Jen?
Yeah, I think this is good.
Okay. Brendan?
I think this is good. I have no questions.
Okay. I think it's pretty straightforward. Do we have anybody in the audience to speak to this?
Seeing none, Frank.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to close and issue.
That would be great.
Frank,
Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
Frank, the one thing I would say is to make sure, if it needs to be part of the conditions, that the pavement is only replaced in kind to what it is now.
Point.
good point, Richard. Thank you.
Or less if they want to.
Or less if they want to, sure.
Okay, Penny.
So I make a motion to close an issue with the caveat that Richard just mentioned about the asphalt. Somebody want to second it, please?
I second
Can I
that.
just ask one question? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just looking at this plan, and down the bottom, it says size reduction of 23.3% requested. What does that mean, Greg?
When you do a septic system repair or an upgrade like this, the goal is always to try to fit a fully sized septic system on the lot. However, Title V recognizes you can't always do that because of property line setbacks, wetland setbacks, etc. So you're allowed to ask for a local upgrade approval up to a 25% size reduction so that you can make it fit on your property. We took that local upgrade approval in this case. It's issued by the Board of Health.
I got it. Just caught my eye. Thanks. Okay, we had a motion from Penny. Do we have a second?
Second from Jen.
Great. All in favor, Richard,
Yes,
Doug,
yes.
Brendan,
Yes,
and Frank, yes. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Greg. We're on to 493 Hadley Road. On March 21st, 5:30 PM, the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Lauren Lind for work related to an addition for a single-family dwelling located at 493 Hadley Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting is available on the agenda posted on the website.
Frank, we have Caroline on the call here, and it looks like she's on the call too.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Caroline Reese from Cavanero Consulting in Norwell, Massachusetts. I'm representing the homeowners and the applicants, Lauren and Casey Lind, for 93 Hatherley Road. And I believe they may be on the phone. I'm not sure. They may be participating. I don't know if I can see all the participants, so we're going to try, but they may pop in. But I'll move ahead. The applicants are looking for permission to construct an addition on the north side of their single family home. It's kind of marked in yellow or etched in yellow on the screen. The addition would be approximately 824 square feet. It'll be primarily over existing pavement and some brick. So the total increase in impervious area for the lot's about 300 square feet. We are before conservation because a portion of the property and a portion of the proposed work lies within flood zone AE. That's represented by the thick dashed line that cuts through that, I guess, northwest corner of the garage, the proposed garage. However, the garage slab will be built at approximately elevation 11.8. The driveway there is above elevation 11. And there'll also be a foyer in that narrow section that kind of squeezes in between the dwelling and the garage. And that would be level with the existing dwelling at 14.8 feet. So the project as proposed results in an increase of impervious area of about 140 square feet in flood zone AE. The garage will be on a concrete slab above elevation. And since all work's above elevation 11, we did not propose flood vents. And with that, I guess I'll return it for questions.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, so this is in our jurisdiction because it's land subject to coastal storm flowage. And also reviewed it for applicability for the stormwater bylaw, and the numbers that were given to us were less than 25% increase, so no stormwater. But I would say that it's something that you can improve under a set of orders of conditions.
Okay. Doug, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, I am going to have to recuse myself from this project.
Okay,
So Cavanero Consulting is now merged with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. So Caroline is now a colleague of mine.
You are.
Okay.
I was gonna say I had to recuse because she used to live in Colorado, but then I just thought, well, that's just silly.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
I'm going
bummer.
to, well, yeah, I'm going to write up one of those things because it's complicated. My role at Merrill has changed now that I'm actually not directly involved in any projects. So I think just for this one for now, I'm going to stay out of it, but I need to formalize that with, that little thing you have to fill out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that would be justifiable, Doug, if you can look at that. You know, we've talked about this before. I mean, I have to do it. Most folks that work in town sooner or later are going to have some sort of conflict. And, you know, if you can put that together, certainly we know that you're going to act in the best interest of the commission. And, you know, if you did have a conflict, you'd certainly be the first one to say, I have one. So I think you can put that together, and the ethics rules, as far as I can see, allow for something like that. They know that. these sort of
yeah,
things-
Yeah, I think it allows exactly for something like this, that it's a previous, this job I know nothing about. So I think I just want to formalize that.
Sure.
So it won't be a long-term thing because, well, just because it just won't.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Penny?
No, I think it looks good. I don't have any problem with them putting a garage on that side of Hadley Road.
Okay. Richard?
I don't have any questions.
Jen?
No questions.
Brendan?
I do not have any questions.
I've been skipping over Andy because I'm assuming he's not on yet. Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience that wanted to speak to this? I think Lauren has her hand up. I would assume that she's for it. Good evening, Lauren. I think we can unmute you.
All right, thank you. I can unmute myself. Good evening. Hi, for the record, I'm Lauren Lind. I'm the homeowner and applicant at 493 Hatherley Road. First, I just want to start off just by saying thank you all to you all for your time. I, in full disclosure, work in town government, not in conservation, but in planning actually. I'm the planning director to one of our neighbors. So I know all too well the hours that you all spend, you know, volunteering and putting in time for this. So I just want to say thank you for doing that. And second, in terms of the project, you know, it's just something we really would like to have a garage in terms of for storage. And also, you know, I can't think about another winter shoveling off my car that we get. So it's something it's sort of consistent with the neighborhood. A lot of three of my four immediate abutters have done additions. And, you know, I foresee that you may be seeing some of my neighbors soon as well. So it's something that's consistent with the neighborhood. And we do plan to work with our professionals to make sure that it's, you know, completely flood compliant in all the ways that it needs to be. So that's all my comments. And I just thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Seems pretty straightforward. So I'll take a motion.
First, before I do that, Amy, can we issue and close on this one too? Or just close.
We could probably issue and close on this one too.
Okay. I make a motion that we close and issue orders on Hadley Road. I don't know the number.
193,
193.
493.
493. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I got a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
Sure, Richard.
Second from Richard. All in favor? Jen
Yes.
and Brendan
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay. Did I skip anybody?
No?
I don't think so. Okay. 159 Glades
Yeah.
Road. On March 21st, 2022 at 5:30 PM in the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Mass General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Situate Code of Bylaws to amend an order condition issued under DEP file number 68-2909 regarding the application of Maura and Richard Conlon for work related to a septic system of a single-family dwelling on property located at 159 Rear Glades Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. So who do we have up for that?
Frank, I have Greg Morse on the line.
Okay,
For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owners, Richard and Maura Conlon. This is a request to amend an existing order of conditions for this property located at 159 R Glades Road. The Conlons have constructed their new home at this location. That was the subject of another DEP file number. But the original file number on this property was associated with a septic system upgrade. That is the request that we're making, is a specific change with respect to the septic system, not the house. So the amendment here is to relocate the septic tank and pump chamber, which were originally proposed on the north side of the house in the side yard, to relocate them to the front yard. And then secondly, changing the type of leaching system. The leaching system was originally proposed as a drip irrigation style septic system, as opposed to this is more of a conventional crushed stone leaching field. All of the work is further away from the salt marsh, which is at the left side of the page here, than what existed and was approved previously. The septic system itself is an advanced treatment septic system. It's a HOOT treatment system that remains unchanged. It really is just in respect to the tank locations, which again are further away from the resource area, in the type of leaching field, which is outside of the 50-foot buffer zone on this site. This site is located in a FEMA zone AE at elevation 15, and being on Glades Road, also considered barrier beach. Board of Health has approved this. I turn it over to you for questions or comments.
Okay. Amy?
I had a question, Greg. So all right, so this is an amendment to the original septic. Okay, so there still is 2 open orders for this though, right? I was just looking sure that we didn't need a C of C, but it doesn't look like we do.
There are two orders open. Order 1 is for construction of the house. The house is substantially complete at this time, but not 100%. And then the second order was just for the septic system. So we're amending that second order. That's the file number we referenced.
Yeah, so it looks like it's straightforward enough, and if this is acceptable to Board of Health, it looks like it's no additional impact for our resources. So I think you can probably approve it.
Okay. Penny?
No, I don't have any problem with the septic. Thank you.
Jen?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Doug?
No questions.
Okay. Brendan?
No, I don't have any questions.
Did I miss anybody?
I don't have any questions, so don't worry about it.
Richard.
I was kind of searching back for the other plan, but this is in the same location, right, Greg?
Oh.
You probably said that.
It is. The leaching field is in the same location. The tanks are further from the wetland resource. The tanks were originally beside the house, as opposed to now they're going to be in front of the house.
Okay. Is there a change in elevation or grade, this leaching field versus another one? The other?
So this leaching field, just trying to zoom in on the plan here. It does come up in elevation slightly. I believe it comes up as much as a foot in the front yard, as opposed to the other one was only around 6 inches of elevation.
So it's pretty minimal.
It is. It's pretty minimal a change.
And you probably said it, but what was the reason to change this?
Yeah. So the location of the piles that were installed for the new house, how the new house was positioned there didn't give us the room that we wanted on the side yard to install the septic tanks in their original location. Keep in mind, when we did the original septic design here, a new house wasn't contemplated. We had designed this around an existing house that was at this location.
Got it.
Secondly, the leaching field in the front originally being the drip type of septic system, is an extremely fragile type of system. It works great, but it is fragile. And if we can do a conventional septic system, we prefer to do so. That's the case down here. So we went to the crushed stone leaching field. We're not proposing that people park on it, but if a car was to drive over this system, it really wouldn't have any impact, as opposed to with the drip system, it potentially could. So that was largely why we changed it.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions. If anybody else is satisfied, I'll take a motion to close this.
Butters, just look for butters.
Oh, I thought I did. Sorry. Any butters?
Seeing none.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the amendment.
Okay, that's Penny. Take a second.
Second from Jen.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes. Brendan.
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for our NOIs, RDAs, 88 Scituate Ave. On March 21st, 2022, during the 5:30 meeting of the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of the Scituate Beach Association for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws for activity related to construction of a new ADA compliant access ramp, deck, and concrete walkway at a dwelling located at 88 Scituate Ave, Scituate, Mass. But and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting will be available in the agenda posted on the website. We have somebody presenting.
Yes, this is Greg Morse, Morse Engineering. This is a request for determination of applicability for property located at 88 Scituate Ave, submitted on behalf of the Scituate Beach Association. This is to allow for construction of a new wooden deck off the side of the building with an associated ADA accessible ramp. Right now, there is no handicap access ramp into the building. This provides access both from the main entrance on Scituate Ave as well as the side entrance in the parking lot on the opposite side of the street. The deck and handicap access ramp would be constructed out of wood material. The only excavation associated with this would be digging of sonotubes. We've identified those sonotube locations here. All of that area is existing lawn surface. This property is located in the FEMA zone. It's at a FEMA AE elevation 15 for reference. The site is between elevation 8 and 11. The placement of the sonotubes will not impact flood storage characteristics or direct stormwater to any adjacent properties. We're seeking a negative determination. I turn it over to you.
No.
Okay. Amy? Well, it's nice to have a little break with some entertainment.
It's like watching YouTube or something. Penny's got a TikTok channel.
Jake wants to eat me right now. Stop it.
Why don't you give him some cat food for crying out loud?
He has a bowl.
Oh, I wasn't seeing it, but that is funny. Anyways, this appears to meet the requirements of a negative finding. With what Greg said, it's sonotubes only on existing lawn. It's land subject to coastal storm flowage. We're not confirming that buffer, although there is that fragmity wetland area across the street where they park on town property there too. So just wanted to point out, I'm sure you guys know where this is, but it's a negative finding.
Yep.
Okay. Can start, I guess, Jen, do you have any thoughts?
No, I was trying to remember other projects that we've done. Didn't we do like a parking lot or something across the way for them?
Well, maybe I should,
Is-
yeah.
Yes, yeah, so that there's a town-owned lot across, not Scituate Ave, but the other street,
Mhm.
where they have overflow parking or whatever that they park.
Okay.
And we know that there's buffer behind that lot.
Marsh.
Yeah, I can't think of anything right now.
Brendan?
I don't have any questions on this. No.
Okay. Richard?
No, no particular questions. This is a good move.
Okay. Doug?
No, looks good.
Penny?
No, I
Or
think
J- or
it's nice to
Jake?
have a deck there and the handicap walkway. Very nice. And Jake likes it too.
That's critical.
Very.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this? So we did, so we did receive a letter from a concerned citizen or butter or neighbor. And we're not, this is associated with other things that the club is doing, like their liquor license and stuff like that. And that really doesn't have any bearing on our approval. For someone trying to put in accessibility, that seems like a worthwhile thing to do. Other uses that they do on it are not purview of the commission. But we have to deal with a piece that's in our jurisdiction. So a couple of things, they're obviously going to dig some holes and put in tubes or supports to support this deck and whatnot. And so just want to make sure any of that material is taken away from the site and not dumped there or dumped across the street. So we should make sure that that's clear. The concern in the past has been and continues to be how this association looks after the space on the other side. It's very informal, parking on gravel, no real definition to the lot, and they continue to mow it to keep it clear. And it's probably, this isn't something that would be permitted if it was new today, but it's been there long enough. But we talked about them trying to make sure, Amy, that they defined that area and that they made sure that people weren't encroaching anymore on the wetlands and that they were being careful in maintaining that parking lot, both for trash, debris, parking, leaking oil, all that sort of stuff. Did we get any kind of correspondence from the Beach Association on that? Did we?
Oh, yeah, Frank, so separately, I mean, this was last year or even the year before, I met out when they filed their request for determination to maintain the lot across the way and kind of like make it a little bit nicer by roping off some areas. We definitely agreed to the plan of not having any further encroachment into the buffer, which, I mean, I kept, a sort of an eye on it, I would say, through drive-bys last year. And I thought that they were by and large doing a pretty good job keeping boats out of the Phragmites area. And they had not significantly improved it, and they're not approved to resurface it or anything like that. And keeping in mind that it is town property.
If I may add to that, Pete Minich, one of the members of the SBA, did talk to me about this, and he indicated that the SBA associated with the Boy Scouts were going to be installing some signage on that opposite side of the street. I believe he had talked with you about that, Amy, last year, identifying those areas, and they got held up, I guess, because of COVID, installing those signs, but they have that on track to be done this year on Ship Shape Day.
Great. Yeah, and that's who I met with was Pete. So, yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, just we could follow up on that at some point. All right. I guess I'll take a motion.
I make a
Do
motion.
we did ask, right? There's nobody in the audience, correct?
Yeah. Yep. I
Okay.
make a motion for -3.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
Second.
it. Ah, beat you.
So I think that was Doug.
It was.
All right, all in favor, Richard?
Did Richard go to sleep?
He's still thinking about it.
I didn't go to sleep. Somebody's ringing my phone, which I don't need. I'm fine with a -3.
Okay, Jen,
I'm good.
Brendan,
I'm good.
and Frank is good. Good, thank you very much. So now we have number 53 Hatherley Road. On March 21st, 2022, during the 5:30 PM meeting at Town Hall, the Situate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Jennifer Masseria for determination of applicability of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Situate Wetlands bylaws for activity related to construction of an addition on a dwelling located at 35 Hadley Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting is available on the agenda posted on the website. So,
Frank, so the applicant is Jennifer Masseri with,
sorry about that.
is the applicant, and it's 35 Hatherley. But anyways, I'm not seeing anybody on the call from them, unless Greg, it's not Greg's site, but there's Nora, a Motorola Edge, and Charlie Norton who are on the call. So if they're not here, we either can, I guess, continue it, or we could try to move it forward or not move it forward, since it is a request. So it's up to you, I guess, on what you would want to do and how to handle it. 'Cause it doesn't.
I'll get wetlands over there.
Somebody has raised their hand.
Oh, okay.
Motorola
Motorola
Edge.
Edge. Okay, hold on. Let's see what we can do here.
Hey, have you got yourself? Okay, you're on.
Good evening, and for the record, my name is Joe Murphy. I am a civil engineer certified in the Commonwealth, and this is a request for determination of applicability. I am representing the owner and the applicant, Jen Mosseri, at 35 Hadley Road. The root of this inquiry, basically, when we did our due diligence and investigation, we found a figure that showed an old kind of swamp forest behind the lot.
Yeah.
So when we investigated, we didn't know it had appeared to be a delineated wetland. So that was the root of the filing.
Okay.
Basically, the project involves, in addition to the existing dwelling at 35, they're living in cramped quarters and they'd like to expand and add a new bedroom unit. So we have to go through the zoning board of appeals. And prior to that, we wanted to get straight with respect to potential wetland delineation. That would be to the bottom of the plan, southwest of the property.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Do we have any wetlands delineation for the back of this?
Right, so we don't. And I can tell you that on the southwest corner, or the parcel that's, I can't read it actually, but it's the undeveloped parcel in the corner where the construction notes are, and that the resource areas go probably right up to the property line.
Yeah.
is putting this whole area, like definitely within the 50, but it is area that's disturbed. But I guess that this is probably the most complicated project of the night, honestly. And just with the fact that it looks like I think that it's possibly approvable either through orders or potentially a negative finding. We just need to know a little bit more about the addition and like, are we talking sonnet tubes? Like it doesn't really give us much information. If you go on just adding up the square feet that they're proposing to add, I get about 686 square feet, which is more than 25% increase of impervious, which would trigger the stormwater review. So, I mean, you know, that's kind of one of the big issue here would be if they do need to address stormwater impacts, then, you know, what are they going to do for that and where's it going to go? And if that's, then it's starting to get a lot more complicated. And I would think that maybe this really is a notice of intent, not a RDA. So then it would be a positive finding. So the board can talk about that.
Joe, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, basically what they're trying to do is the home addition is just under 400 square feet. It's a 22 by 18 foot foundation. It's going to attach to the existing dwelling and it's going to have a crawl space. And then connected to that, they're going to have a screen room, which is 140 square feet, 14 by 10. The additional item that we proposed was a 12 foot wide curb cut. And that was 10 by 18.5. But Amy, if that is pushing us into the 25%, then we would remove that request tonight and just focus on the structure addition. However, we do understand that, you know, the delineation is unknown to the southwest of the property. And the root of it was the, you know, the wooded marsh that they had delineated, but that could have been delineated some time ago at a, 100 scale or larger plan. So when we put it on our site plan, it just looks like it could be close and that we need the board's evaluation as such.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do know that this area, but you know, this portion of Hatherley and Stewart Place, that this is definitely high groundwater. So, but it's also pretty densely altered and built up.
Okay.
Amy, is the concern more rooted in the lack of wetland delineation or the magnitude of the site impacts?
Both.
Well, the stormwater, I'm just looking strictly at applicability of stormwater bylaw. And I mean, and if the Conservation Commission determines that this is a negative DOA, that would pass it through us, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to need to comply with the stormwater bylaw. And then, so it's kind of a catch-22, because then if you have to comply with the stormwater bylaw, now you're adding stormwater management, and it would change the project. So that might put it more into the category of a notice of intent. So then the question is should we just be taking this as a notice of intent instead? Due to the increase in impervious, more than 25%.
I think the applicant's or the engineer's question was did the driveway, the area of the driveway drive that? Because I get his his thought
I actually
process.
didn't include the driveway. When I was looking at the numbers, I was looking at strictly at the addition to the size of the house of 1,200 square feet. But I mean, I guess
So
it depends on how you're calculating it, but that's what I was looking at. I wasn't including the driveway when I just took a.
I understood. The reason I asked is it was a little higher than just the structure in the screen room, but if it's a 1,200 square foot structure and our addition is definitely going to be beyond 300 square feet. So I think that 25% right there, I wouldn't debate that.
Doug, do you want to weigh in on this?
Well, yeah, I pulled up the plan so I could try to look at that. So the 25% increase trigger, that's 25% increase of what's already there, correct? So yeah, I would agree that that's going to trigger that. There's no flood zone or anything related to this, is there?
You are
And-
correct. We're out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no flood
okay.
zone, just buffered
And-
DPW.
And you're on public sewer? There's no septic system to deal with?
You are correct, sir.
All right, so, so I don't know that the crushed stone parking lot affects that. I don't know if, or the parking spot there, I don't know if that, is that included, Amy? I mean, is it any disturbance or it's increased in impervious that we're looking at?
Increase in impervious.
Yeah, so it's really just the addition, because the deck doesn't even count into that. So that, what that would mean really is like some sort of infiltrator, like roof, you can capture some roof runoff. But you'll have to take a look at the soils, make sure it's suitable for, like a, some kind of a infiltrator underground system to handle the stormwater, because there's really not much else you could do with it out there. So what you'd be looking at is just like a little additional paperwork, but you might have to like pop a test pit out there or something unless you've done that, just to take a look at the soils.
We acknowledge that. We could propose a low profile infiltration unit. Agreed, we're going to need to see the existing soil permeability and depth of high groundwater. So we can go through those motions. We understand the increase in impervious area calls for such.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, I think what happens is if it triggers the stormwater bylaw, I don't know how we can do it as an RDA. I think it has
Right,
to
I
be
think it now we should move it over to a notice of intent, because the thing is that if we keep it as an RDA, then you have a separate running stormwater permit. And the way we do ours is we roll ours into the orders of condition, and so
Yeah.
portable document. We keep it that way, either that or we can we would just say no, and then it would go over to the planning board. But I mean, it's clearly is jurisdictional within 100 feet. So it seems like the cleanest course of action would be a positive finding and a notice of intent with stormwater review. Joe, that would also involve a peer review of what you propose for stormwater management. So it's a little bit of a lengthier process.
I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is you could do it in a one-shot deal still if you know what everything is needed. So I just think we need to be clear, like the wetlands would have to be delineated. So you're going to get, and then located on this plan, and then whatever you're going to propose for stormwater control. And then I just know whoever's doing the peer review, just pretend if you were doing it, what you'd want to see, and approach it that way, that you'd probably want to see some determination of what the soils are like, and kind of assess the idea,
Yeah,
the feasibility of those underground systems.
right, it's pretty spelled out is in the application, and we can give you some resources if you haven't worked in Scituate on one of these stormwater permits. And the other thing that I would say is I think I would probably proceed with the zoning board of appeals to make sure that you're gonna get the relief that you need for that before, because once you get into the stormwater review, it is, it's much more lengthy and time consuming and money is what I'm trying to say.
Understood, Amy. We appreciate that. That makes sense, and we can engage them, and I can investigate the delineation and an infiltration area on site concurrently.
I think
The
that's a good recommendation because
Yeah.
you're awful close to that
The-
property line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is the relief you're looking for off the setbacks?
It's a side setback, correct?
Yeah.
They're looking for side setback relief.
And these can kind of move concurrently, right? I mean, they're gonna go to the ZBA. You get the gist of what you have to do here, so probably before you put a lot of effort into all that, you ought to find out if you're gonna be able to even put that in effect the way you'd like to.
No, agreed. Agreed. We'll come to the fork in the road and then I'll meet with the owner and we'll make an evaluation. If the ZBA looks potential, we'll continue that route and then pick it back up with the Conservation Commission and get straight on it with an NOI filing, sir.
Okay. Amy, I know these things are pretty vague. I was just trying to look at a map, Google map of this and where that wetlands are from Stewart Place, but it's looks more than likely it's a ways off property. So do they have to try to figure out where that wetlands line is, or just that it's off property?
Well, I mean, they're not gonna be able to hang flags off property if it's not property that they own, but they should be able to get a fairly decent estimate, I think, from available resources. I mean,
Okay.
So, Amy, in that case, we would meet with a wetland scientist on site and they would just be able to do a visual inspection from a few points. I know these are paper streets and there has been some disturbance back there, but accessibility could be an issue. Not from behind the applicant's lot, but other areas. But really only the applicant's lot is pretty much the concern to the board, I believe.
well, so we want to know what's within 100 feet of the site for a buffer. And I mean, to some extent, it can be approximate, but I would say that the wetland scientist would probably do a soil evaluation right in that corner and make sure they're, or see whether you're coming up with hydric soils on site. And then, I mean, usually it can be pretty evident depending on what it looks like back there. I'm only looking at aerials also, and I can see it comes pretty close. But so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these properties were probably filled. You know what I mean? And Frank, it's like it's the other side of Stewart from where we had spent that, those other sites we have over there.
Right.
The other side of Hatherley.
Yep. No, I get it.
It's all very low lying area.
Sure. Well, it's definitely developed behind it, but then there's a couple of lots that aren't. So, okay. I think you got the general. So there's no way for him to roll this into something else. We just give him a negative.
Oh, a positive.
I mean, a positive finding.
Yeah, but certainly he can use what he's got and we can, towards the notice of intent.
Okay.
What he's already done is going to be just built upon and improved upon and more information. And then when we have it together, what we can do, Joe, when you get us the stormwater stuff, actually, we can talk offline about stormwater more in detail, but, and what we'll need, but we can get the peer review going even before we open the public hearing. And as Doug said, try to have it a one meeting situation if possible.
Can I just throw out one other caveat that might happen? Let's just say that he gets some sense of the CBA and they determine that this project is more aggressive than what might be allowed. If he came back with a smaller addition and deck, could we accept that under an IDA? I mean, rather than knock this off, should we just continue it and let him
Oh, that's a good point.
get some feedback from the ZBA, and then maybe they decide they want to revamp their plan and shrink the thing to get them under the, I don't know. That's if it were my project, I'd be doing a little backpedaling right now.
Yeah, I mean, we could handle it that way, although we just have so much going on that I wouldn't even know what date to continue it to, you know what I mean? But, I guess,
So Joe, you're representing your client. Do you want to ask for continuance for a month or two to see if you can get some?
Yeah, I
feedback?
appreciate that avenue because with respect to aggressive lot improvements there, if we've got to, minimize that and can get under that 25%, then that would be ideal. And I got to review the areas on site and do a table on impervious anyway. So I appreciate if we could do a continuance. And then if once I hear from the ZBA, I'll continue coordination with Amy and her department on the continuance, or we'll just go for the full NOI.
Okay. So I don't know. It's going to take you a little time to do all that. Do we want to?
Go to May
Move 'em out.
16th.
Pardon me?
What about May 16th?
that's a good date, Penny.
That's a little ways out, Joe, but by the time you sort this out with your customer and ZBA, that's probably realistic.
Yeah.
You okay with
We
that?
agree, and we appreciate the commission's time.
Okay, I'll take a motion for continuance.
I make a motion that we continue until May 16th. Of course, I lost my paper. To 35 Hadley Road.
That's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second
second
for
that.
Jen.
I think Doug,
Oh,
well, I'm gonna give that one to Jen just because
oh,
Doug's been.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm okay with
it's okay. So much sharing.
All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Doug,
it. Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Good. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too. Okay. What do we have on the agenda we're only at 6:35 here. We could be killing this if.
Commercial
so-
farming.
Administrative items. Yeah, Andy couldn't make the call tonight, so there's not a lot new on Appleton Field. We're still in the process of trying to get approvals from council and an opinion on liability insurance. But I mean, I wanted to include it on the agenda just to keep giving it public awareness. It's one of the projects that you guys are working on, and that we're trying to pull it together for hopefully a license this growing season.
I think that the weeds are going to overtake this thing between attorneys and insurance. It's like watching paint dry. But hopefully we can get that squared away.
Yeah, true. Well, so hopefully at our next meeting, we'll have closed, close that out, and hopefully we even will be on a select board agenda to get their approval. So it is moving along, you know what I mean? So
I
we
know.
are really quite at the end. There's just a few fine points that we're trying to close in on.
Right.
Okay, so B is a request to amend existing orders for 36 and 36R Bailey's Causeway. So this is just the request on whether this would be advertised for a future public hearing to amend two sets of orders for the new build, or actually they weren't new builds, they were raised rebuilds at 36 and 36R Bailey's. I think the existing orders and the request to amend plan, proposed plan with a letter was mailed off to you guys to look at. So hopefully you're familiar, and it looks like Greg is on the call. So I'm thinking that he wants to speak to this. And so basically what the only thing we're going to really be talking about, not debating it, because that'll be at the actual public hearing if you decide to take it as an amendment versus saying no or whatever, would be actually under the hearing. So this is just the question of whether you're going to take it. Understood?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute Greg.
Greg?
Good evening, Greg Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the applicant. This is a request to amend the order of conditions for 36 and 36R Bailey's Causeway. These were raise and rebuilds of single-family homes at each of those addresses, respectively. The request is to amend two portions of the notice of intent. The first one has to do with condition number 49, which was removal of a 20-foot section of earthen berm that exists at the site. As you may recall, along the eastern lot line, there was an earthen berm at both of these properties. That berm was fully permitted by the Conservation Commission. It was constructed, and a certificate of compliance was issued by the Conservation Commission in 2008. We had not proposed any removal or any change to that berm when we permitted this project, yet condition number 49 was put into the order of conditions requiring that it be removed. The applicant went to great lengths to have that berm permitted and built and would like it to remain in place. So that's our first request, is that the berm be allowed to be left alone. The second one has to do with what we had proposed for mitigation out at the site. As you likely recall, the site borders directly on the salt marsh. We had proposed removing a driveway which was up against the salt marsh. That has been done. We had proposed planting in its location, wetland plants. Those were provided by Brad Holmes. Those plantings have been done. We also had proposed a split rail fence that was to be installed. We'd like to swap out that split rail fence for conservation posts that identify that as a mitigation area instead of a fence. Those are the two requests, the berm and changing the fence to posts.
Okay. And the feedback, Amy, for this tonight?
It's just whether you're going to accept it, whether you want to move forward with this as a public hearing or not. And if you say no, I mean, they could still file a notice of intent to separately take it up. And if you say yes, then we will advertise it and we'll talk about it at an upcoming hearing.
Okay. Richard, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, based on what I heard, I would say we should grant the request.
Okay. Doug?
Yeah, yeah, I guess I'm slightly confused. We're asking to amend the order, and you're saying that has to be done in a public hearing?
So a minor modification is something that the commission could just say, yeah, we don't think it's a big deal. But if it's significant enough to maybe be different than what was brought up at a meeting. So there was a good amount of discussion about all these aspects that were here. So the applicant can either, file separately, like what Greg did with that septic system, because it was fairly significant in changes. But in this case, it's something that I think we could discuss as an amendment. It's not simple enough for us to just say, you know what, that's up to
Minor
Abe.
modification.
Yeah. But does the commission feel like we can discuss this as a potential amendment? And we could still say no, or we could consider something along those lines. So
Yeah, sounds like the, I don't remember the berm. I have a feeling I wasn't involved in all of these discussions, but anyways, it sounds like something that falls in line with more like for an amendment. So yeah, I think we should accept the
Okay.
applicant's request.
Jen?
Yeah, I'm okay with the request. But we're not, by saying yes to the request, we're not saying yes to the modifications, correct?
Correct. No.
Okay. Just want
It was
to
just the difference would
doubly
be,
make sure.
if the commission felt strongly that this was beyond an amendment, then we'd be telling them to file a separate NOI to do this. Okay, Brendan?
Yeah, I think I would accept the request for an amendment.
Okay. So is it, we don't have to, we don't need input from anybody else for this, right, Amy? This is just our
No, this is
discussion.
just, it's an administrative item. It's just from you guys, but you can vote on it and then we'll, we'll go ahead and advertise it and it'll get a butter notification. Because it sounds like everybody said yes, that they will take it as an amendment
The
request.
only thing I would suggest, if we're gonna consider this, there was considerable debate about the marsh, the grass, the plants. I mean, if everybody remembers, these were two small cottages on concrete footings or foundations of some small portions. There was also a couple of cesspools. So the site was altered, but with something less significant. And this wound up being a septic system and filling an area and walls. So it was pretty extensive hearings discussing all these pieces. And we had, I think it was Bob Gray from Sebatis looking at the grasses and where the marsh may or may not be. And then was it Brad doing that?
Brad was, yeah, I think so.
Greg?
Yeah, it was Brad Holmes. It was, you had a very thorough review of these two projects. Like, I mean, it was, and it was also not a one meeting hearing. It was, I think it went on
Right.
maybe 4 or 5 meetings and you determined the conditions that you determined. So I would say that this is a good opportunity to maybe make sure that the applicant and engineer, know that if they're going to be asking for an amendment, if they're going to ask to reduce these, then maybe you want to ask for, to sub something instead, like that type of thing.
Well, I think the other thing, it's so
reason
hard.
why, like why is there a good reason why they can't, that type of thing.
It's been quite a while since we had this, but there was we debated this removal of a section of the berm back then. And I'm not entirely recalling why we did that, but I guess my question is, if the time that we look at this request for amendment, do we want to get some input from Bob or Brad or both as to why this should happen or not happen?
We could do that.
When we go to act on this, we're going to have questions, and then there's going to be, can those questions be answered at that time?
Right.
or-
Well, what I'm going to do is what we'll do is we'll get you all the minutes from the meetings. I mean, you can watch the meeting if you want, but I mean, so that it gets fresh in your mind as to why the orders were written in such the way that it did. I mean, this was definitely one that was hotly debated about whether or not it, I mean, you were even going to give them approval at all, honestly, because of its proneness to flooding and proximity to salt marsh. So, and I know that there was a request for CFC when one of the properties sold last spring that was not acted on because the orders were not fully complete. And so part of this, is tied into this request.
Okay. All right, well, I guess my point is we're gonna need some pretty good information, so that would be helpful, I mean. Great. And I think, Greg, if there's this request to remove these pieces and stuff, I think you're gonna need to have that, a compelling reason why that should happen as well, so. All right,
Absolutely.
okay. So can we move on?
Do we need to vote that at all, or have we already voted it?
I don't think we have to.
Why
vote
would
that.
we vote it?
I just asked him.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good question, but I don't think we need to. I think we're gonna,
Okay.
I think they got the consensus.
Okay.
All right. We got a request for an extension.
And we accepted it. Oh, no, we didn't. That's the amendment.
For the ORAD at 390 Hadley Road. Number 19,
no.
Yes, that's a first request for extension for 3-year extension for the ORAD, which we're issuing, and then minutes, a couple of certificates of compliance, orders.
on the extension.
Excuse me,
How long for the extension? 2, 3 years?
3
3
years.
years on that for the first extension, can be 3.
Do we need to vote that or you can just issue it?
I think we have
That
to
you
vote it.
vote, that you vote.
I
Okay,
make a
so,
motion that we extend the ORAD for 390 Hadley Road, 119 Man Hill for 3 years.
do I have a second?
Second,
That's from Jen. All in favor, Richard,
Yep.
Doug,
Yep.
Brendan,
Yes,
and Frank, yes. Okay. Minutes, Penny?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of February 28th and March 7th as written.
Second, Richard.
Excuse me. All in favor?
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yep, Frank, it's only 7.
Boy, I know. That was Penny and Richard, right? So all in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen,
yes.
Brendan,
yes,
Frank, yes. Thank you. Sorry. Certificates of compliance on those, Amy? You good with them?
Yes. One was for work never completed and the other was for a septic system.
Okay,
Okay.
and then we have the orders of condition, the salt meadow. I make a motion, we accept them as written.
Get a second on that? Brendan?
I'll
Second.
second. Yep. Everybody. It's all second at once.
I
We
think
won't have to
Brendan,
vote.
I think Brendan
second it.
seconded that one.
There you go.
All in favor, Richard,
Yep.
Doug?
Yeah.
Jen,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. What else?
That's it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this was 3 meetings in the last month, so we've accomplished quite a bit with the next meeting on April 4th. So we may see you before then on a different matter that I'll send an email out about.
All right. The other thing we've had knocked around a little bit is continuing, we're gonna continue meeting remotely, the time of the meeting. And, this is great. We started at 5:30, we're done by 7. It's awesome. I don't know. Andy and I had a chat a little bit that it's getting tougher for him to make the 5:30. don't know how anybody feels about going till 6. I'll probably still be rushing through the door at 6 o'clock, but I don't know. Anybody have any strong feelings one way or the other?
I'd be fine with 6. It's not I love the early time, but I would rather have Andy participate than be stressed about attending.
I'm okay with 6. That's not
Oh,
too big of a change.
No.
The only thing that came to mind is that sometimes Penny's trying to do 2 meetings in the same evening.
well, that's true, but that isn't, it's, yeah. Because CPC is always the second, and it's just been a little cuckoo this year. It happened 3 or 4 times, but usually I'm okay, Frank.
Okay. So, well, why don't we check with Andy, see if that's going to work better for him? If it is, I didn't hear from Brendan.
Okay,
You-
I'll email Andy.
Brendan, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm good with moving it to 6.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
We like,
I think that covers everybody.
okay,
All right. Jen says she's fine with it as long as we're not here past 8:30.
okay. 8:30 she goes to sleep, okay,
All right.
all right.
I think she actually said 8 o'clock, so we'll work on
Yeah,
that.
you guys did a good job tonight. Help
All right.
with all those continuances, but that just means that they're gonna be up next
Yeah,
time.
there were
Yeah.
4 continuances, so that's.
Yeah, and we have, if you've noticed on a correspondence, I think there's like 5 new filings, so.
Yeah. Oh,
All
well,
right. Yeah, I don't think there's any lack of things coming at us. Okay, great. Well, rest
Thank
up.
you.
Be
town
ready for
meeting's
the,
coming up, people.
Mhm.
Don't
Oh,
forget
yeah.
town meeting April 11th, I think.
12th.
Hmm.
The
Can't wait.
12th.
the 12th.
Yep,
Is it the 12th? Okay,
it is.
well, come
It's gonna be
support.
it's on a Tuesday?
Yep.
Really?
Come support the Mordecai Lincoln's coming back up.
So did we decide is our next Concom meeting on the 18th or the 25th?
It's the
Oh.
4th and 19th.
So we're gonna do town meeting on the 12th, and our conservation meeting is gonna be on the 19th,
Mhm.
Tuesday, cats and dogs.
Well,
All
that's
right.
because Monday's a holiday that week.
I got it. What's the holiday?
Patriots Day.
Easter.
Patriots Day.
Huh,
The marathon.
you don't put it in this calendar, because I guess it's just our holiday.
What difference
Okay.
does it make without Brady?
Thanks for that, Doug.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Right.
Take
So
care.
do we have the motion to
That's right.
adjourn?
Yeah,
Oh,
make a
right.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
That was quick. All in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
yeah.
too. Bye-bye.
Night.